when's the right time to hire your first assistant? It's yesterday, because if you're doing everything in your business, you are the assistant in your business. And here's what I see all the time, especially, I mean, this is for people that have been running their businesses this way. It could be for decades, honestly, before. And again, they're so servant hearted. This is all coming from a good place of care so much about my clients. I'm afraid that if I hire someone else, they might drop the ball, or I'm afraid that if I hire someone, then I won't be able to pay them. And I don't want to let that person down. So there's all this good hearted nature behind our willingness to be sort of the victim to this roller coaster. But what happens is when there's no business, then you certainly have fear, right? Is that I need to figure out how to go find more business. So
Hmm.
there's plenty of sales training out there on how to do that. How do you turn on the faucet and go attract opportunities? As soon as those opportunities come in, you get the referrals, you get the leads, right? Most people will be so relieved because they feel like their prayers have been answered that they'll pivot their focus from business development activities, customer service activities, and
Hmm.
they'll take care of those clients. And by the way, if they happen to get a pop in business that is a little bit more than their personal capacity, now, they're running like a chicken with their head cut off. They're wearing every hat in their business. There's no time to think about slowing down, writing a job description, posting a job, screening applicants,
Right.
onboarding, training. So at that pinnacle of their business, they'll say to me, like, I don't have a minute to think about how I could possibly bring somebody on because it feels like a chore at that level. But inevitably,
Right.
their brain is saying, when things slow down, I will fill in the blanks. I'll be more present with my loved ones. I'll hire that person. But the problem is things slow down and we panic again. So we're like stressed out when we're busy. We're stressed out when we're slow. So at what point do you think that you're going to have the confidence to make the investment into your business when you have the time to onboard, train, and get them up to speed? So we've got to
Right.
instead be a witness to the roller coaster of highs and lows, recognize that it's exhausting, understand that when you have, let's just say, 3 under contract or 5 under contract, you can evaluate the day to day activities and you can identify things that could be done by somebody else. And depending if
Hmm.
that team member is virtual or local, I mean, anywhere, right, from $6 an hour to $10 an hour to $20 an hour, whatever. But we'll do the math and say, okay, in that month when you had 5 closings, or if you're a real estate investor, like in that month where you were doing all the different things and your revenue was at its peak, what did that revenue look like? And then break it down to an hourly wage. And if that person's hourly wage, I'm talking about the professional who needs to hire. Let's say their hourly rate is $150 an hour based on how much they've earned in the best month that they've had. Maybe it's $400 an hour, right? Then every time they do a task could be done by someone, even top dollar, $20 an hour. It's costing them $130 an hour, or it's costing them $380 an
Exactly.
hour. And when you do the math on that,
Right.
we've had clients where it's costing them $868,000 a year to be the person who makes all these phone calls to coordinate the inspectors and to follow up on the painter that
Exactly.
needs to come. Like the
Yeah.
tasks that they're doing, anyone could do. And then the last thing I
Right.
want to add to that is that when it comes to the tasks that you're doing that anyone can do, and the fear that if you hire someone, that they may make a mistake, that they may mess things up. I always jokingly say to people, once again, you achieved this level of success because of who you are and because of your heart and soul. You care enough to become efficient or effective at all these little tasks in your business, right? And I always say to people, if you could figure it out and I could figure it out, don't you think anybody could figure it out? Because we're not rocket scientists. So
Right.
can we hire to the heart? Can we hire to the values of conscientiousness and work ethic and willing to go above and beyond, right? Because if we can hire to the
Right.
values, we know that person's going to care as much as we do to do it right. And so we also have to notice our fear, which is a story that becomes a belief that becomes an excuse for why I haven't hired yet. And then just challenge the fear and say, is it even true? Because amazing people exist out there that absolutely love creating order out of your chaos. And I would say
Hmm.
that as a
Right.
true professional, it's a disservice to your clients to be chaos behind the scenes. So To
Mhm.
organize the business up levels your professionalism because it up levels your energy, your focus, your enthusiasm, and your ability to be present with the biggest financial decisions of someone's life. Now, that's obviously speaking to agents and lenders, but it's true across all industries because none of what we're talking about has really anything to do with our job title. It has to do with our time, our energy, and our impact, and the desire that we say we had, which was to have some freedom in our life and business.